One of the most magical times of the year, roster time. Not quite here, but as the Texans rest today, myself and Cody Stutes, we are going to perform the 53-man exercise here on SNL. Andrew Locker, Cody Stutes with you. Shout out to Bob Tech for sponsoring the video. The Texans will return to the field tomorrow. They'll have 2 days of practice. And then they will head to West Virginia, which we will be there as well. We're leaving very, very early on Sunday morning, and we got your coverage, so that does not stop. Let's just dive into this, Cody. We'll talk about the biggest questions, and we haven't even done this yet, so this exercise is organic. We will be having the discussions that we feel will be had by D'Amico Ryans, Nick Caserio, and the rest of the coaching staff in the front office. And this is going to be based on what we would do, not necessarily what we're predicting they'll do, but we will sprinkle in like their line of thinking and all that type of stuff. So this is always one of the most fun times of the year as we talk about who's going to make the team and who's not.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, there's some really tough conversations that they'd have to have today. They've only got a week of work, 6 workouts under their belt, 3 padded practices. So there's a lot that could change, but if this was a conversation they were having to have today, if cut down day was tomorrow and they were having to stay up all night and put the 53 together, they'd have some really hard conversations.
Well, let's get into those conversations, and I think we'll probably start with maybe the easiest. I would say that CJ Stroud and Davis Mills are safe.
Yeah, so go ahead and put CJ Stroud and Davis Mills into the equation. Yeah,
so I would say CJ Stroud, Davis Mills, they're good at QB. They're good to go. So there's that. As far as keeping another one of these quarterbacks on the 53, I would say no. I don't think Slovis or Mertz would warrant such an act. So I think it's safe to say that only 2 quarterbacks will be on the original 53.
If you had to put one of those 2 guys on the practice squad, who would you put on the practice squad, Slovis or Mertz?
I guess Mertz. Although I will say this, and it's not like a significant thing, Slovis looks 100 times better this year than he did all of last year. So sure. I will say there has been some improvement. He's never someone that you want to step on the field in an NFL game. But I will say there has been some improvement with Slovis, but neither he nor Mertz will be on this 53-man roster, or I would not put them on mine.
No, they should not be on the 53-man roster. Not at all.
All right, so then we go to running back, and this is where it gets really interesting. And
I was going to go to a defensive position. We just kind of hop around. We don't have to go in order.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's good because running back's going to be perhaps the most controversial one. You've already filled in the special teams. That's done.
Yeah, so it's really just a 50-man roster because we know the 3 specialists. But let's go to safety, Landry. And we know about the 2 guys that are absolutely on this safety situation, and that's Kalen Block and CJ Gardner-Johnson. And then for lack of a better place to put him, we're putting Jalen Petrie in there. Safety, nickel cornerback, slot cornerback, whatever you want to call him. So we know those 3 right there. Last year, they kept 5 safeties. So 2 spots left if you count Petrie as the safety. If they're going to keep 5, who would you put in the room with these guys? I mean, Jalen Reed's in there, right? The rookie from Penn State.
So the other safeties that you have left, you have Jalen Reed, you have MJ Stewart, you have Yeast, and then you have Ward that you would consider in Callaghan as well. But he's not going to make.
Callaghan's gone.
Yeah, Callaghan's done.
No, he's not even on the roster anymore.
Yeah, he gone. So you have Jimmy Ward, who I think probably starts the season on the injured list. But I think if he were healthy, he would be on. So I think you got to put Jimmy Ward there. He's probably going to start on the injured list. So then you're going to have, I think MJ Stewart's in, and I think Reed's in. So I think they keep 5 again. I think they keep Reed and MJ Stewart.
Well, you're talking about 6 guys. If you're keeping Jimmy, and MJ Stewart and Jalen Reed. Petry's in the safety spot, Bullock and Gardner Johnson. Now we're at 6 safeties.
They might be they might be begging for old Jimmy to be for the league to do a little something for him. But
I mean, if you say, hey, Jimmy starts on PUP, kind of like what Heinisch did it last year, where
that's what I think. I think Jimmy Ward starts on PUP. So put him in the back and highlight him in red. I think they keep him on PUP and don't bring him back. And then you have those 5 guys. And then when Jimmy comes back, they'll have to make some sort of a decision. So yeah, highlight him in red, because I think we might be doing that at running back as well. So yes, put Jimmy there, but those are the 5 originals. I'll say Jimmy starts on PUP.
Jimmy on PUP, and then these 5 making it. I like the safety room pretty well. I like what I've seen from Reed in training camp so far, and
the
MJ,
other
MJ Stewart's the new Eric Murray, and he's totally adept at handling that position.
The other thing that I think needs to be taken into account as you're constructing this roster is, so we already have 10 spots taken out of three positions. So put in parentheses how many we keep on the position. So Petry can be considered a linebacker. So you kind of got to factor that in your base defense, especially when you're playing the 4-2-5, which they played, I think 80% of the time last year. He's kind of a linebacker too. So that kind of leaves a little bit of flexibility.
Okay. Yeah. So 5 safeties. We got 3 special teamers, and we got 2 quarterbacks.
Yep. So we're already up to 10. So we have 42 spots left on the super chat. Shout out to HDAV Traveler coming through per the use. We appreciate you for rolling through on the
you ain't never hate
53 man exercise.
Good to see you, my friend.
Let's go to the cornerbacks, because I think this is easy.
Okay.
And one of my big takeaways at corner is I feel that they're okay there.
Oh.
Like I kind of feel that they're okay there. I don't have the concerns at corner like I did previously.
So we know it's Dirksen and we know it's Kamari Lassiter.
Yes.
For this exercise, who would be the guy you'd put on the field if one of those 2 guys was not available? Is it Jalen Smith or is it Tremont Smith?
I would probably say Jalen Smith, but Tremont Smith's actually had a really good camp and played pretty good at corner. So I would say
I would also say Jalen Smith. I believe they would put Tremont Smith on the field.
Yeah, and I think both of those guys have had really, really, really solid camps. I do think both of them are in.
I totally agree with the both. I mean, Jalen Smith has to be. He's the 3rd round pick. If he's not in, burn the whole draft operation to the ground. It's awful if he doesn't make the team. But Tremont Smith, special teams ace, and had moments at corner already in camp. There's 4.
I think Bryant makes it too.
They kept 5 out of camp last year. So you're putting Miles Bryant there.
I think Bryant makes it, and I think you almost look at him as almost like a safety too, and you look at Petry as a linebacker. Like, the versatility in the backfield is crazy, because on the surface you look at this and you say, dude, you mofos are crazy. You're keeping 5 safeties and 5 corners. Well, they want to play base defense. In their base defense, they want Jalen Petry to be out there instead of 3 linebackers. And if Jalen Petry's not out there, they want Miles Bryant to perhaps be out there instead of Jalen Petry, which is what we saw when Petry was out and Bryant had such a good camp. So it's not a traditional 4-3 defense that they run anymore. I think they ran the 2nd most nickel in the league last year. So it's a weird roster exercise. And I think that there's gonna have to be some areas where you go thin. I think linebacker is probably where we get to the point where we start getting a little thinner, because we've got 25 now. So we're down to 28 spots. And we can tweak this afterwards. Like, this is the beauty of the exercise. Like, we can make changes as it goes. Like I said, we're doing this exercise with you.
All right. So we've got the secondary taken care of. We don't, I mean, who would be the guy that's like the last cornerback that doesn't make it? D'Angelo
Um,
Ross.
I would say the cornerback that perhaps maybe Mullet, but I don't know. Maybe they get tired of the nickel. Maybe Mullet.
Yeah, so that's the thing with Mullet, however you say it. Missed time, was the only guy with Petrie initially, but Miles Bryant's done well when Petrie was out and Millet's been limited contact and was out. So
And the other thing, some of these guys who don't make it are still that nobody they're going to be around still.
Yeah, you put 53 on the roster, then you get a practice squad.
Yeah, they're going to be around still. So these guys are still going to be around. So it's not like because you get rid of them that they're not going to still be in the facility. Like a lot of these guys on the back end, they're going to still be around.
Okay, you want to do fullback, tight end, knock those out?
Oh shoot. Okay, yeah. Tight end's going to be tough. Not really. You got Schultz. He's in.
Stover,
he's in.
I when I did my midsummer exercise, I had Brevin Jordan as my 54th man.
He's in.
He's in now.
Yeah, he's in. He looks faster.
He looks really good to have come off of a serious knee injury last year, and to be, I mean, he's 10 months removed from that. Like, he looks really good.
So then you start. There's no other like pure tight end. Although Jakob Johnson's considered a tight end, and he's the only one that plays fullback. I think he's in.
I would say if they had to decide today, they would put Jakob on the roster.
Yeah, I would put Jakob on the roster right now, and that gives you one. And let's get a number update here. So we have 4 tight ends. That's 4. 1 fullback, quarterback. That's
no. We have 3 tight ends.
Well, I'm counting Jakob.
You can't count he's twice.
Well, yeah.
You said 4 tight ends and 1 fullback. He's not 2 people.
He can be. All right, there's 6. There's 6 on offense right now. We got 3 on special teams.
And
that's
10
9.
on defense.
9, 10.
Yeah.
So we're at
19.
19. So we've given up 19 spots right now. Okay. Running back, we'll wait. Let's go to receiver because receiver.
Okay.
Receiver seems set in stone. So Nico's good.
Yeah, Nico Collins is going to be your number 1. Christian Kirk's, to me, going to be the number 2 option. You got the rookies. There's Jaden Higgins,
Knoll,
and there's Jalen Knoll. Okay. Then it's going to be
Hutchinson. I think Hutchinson's good.
Now, okay, if we're just for the exercise, if we were putting them in order, would you put Hutchinson ahead of Watson or would you put Watson ahead of Hutchinson?
I would put Hutchinson, but I it's debatable either way. I think they both play special teams. They both have made plays on offense. I would put them both on there. And then the question now becomes, you have the 6 wideouts. Does Braxton Berrios, like, if you're gonna keep Jakob Johnson as a fullback / blocking tight end, how does that change Berrios? Because early on when we talked about Berrios, it was day 1, day 2, is like he's clearly the best punt returner. I still think that's the case, but you can only do so many things. Like when it comes to this, like making these decisions. So I almost think we need to put Berrios on standby and try to build the rest of the roster and then revisit that because.
Okay, so you just stick with these 6 and then come back if we've got spots left?
Yes.
Okay, so your punt returner is either Christian Kirk or Jalen Knoll if Berrios doesn't make the team.
Yes.
Because those are basically the only guys who've gotten consistent reps there. Obviously, Miles Bryant gets a little one-off rep here and there. But Kirk and Knoll are your punt returners if Berrios doesn't make it. But we got time to continue building this thing, so we can always come back and put Berrios there.
We'll circle back to it.
Okay. All right, so let's go to a defensive.
Let's get a numbers update too.
All right, so 10 players on defense, 3 on special teams, so we're at 13. Add in the tight ends, we're at 16. Add in the wide receivers, we're at 22. Jakob makes it 23, and the quarterbacks make it 25. So we are almost halfway there.
Almost. All right, let's go to the linebackers.
Okay.
So we know AAS is good. Azeez Al-Shire, he's good.
Yeah, we know Aziz Al-Shire is going to be there, and we know Henry To'o is going to be there.
Yes, we know EJ Speed is going to be there.
I feel very strongly that EJ Speed is on this team. I agree. Those are the only, like, for me right now, those are the only, I feel super strongly, no questions asked, they're on the team. I think there's a margin for error for every other linebacker.
Yeah, Hansen is an interesting one because
Lots of special teams.
There's just only so many places for special teams. Christian Harris isn't on PUP, and they say he's close. I think you got to put Christian Harris on there.
Okay. That's 4 linebackers. I mean, Nick Neiman's got to have a shot at this, right?
I mean,
they brought him in as a special teams ace.
But how much have you seen him play any defense? I look up and I see Hansen playing, and this is what we're doing. We're having the discussion here, and we appreciate everyone for rolling through. Hansen's playing like second team defense. I really haven't seen Neiman doing that. And when they first brought in Neiman, like, I assumed that he would be able to do that. Hansen's a really good special teams guy that they like a lot, but he's also like getting second team reps. I've seen Speed getting second team reps. I really haven't seen Neiman doing that, unless he's just the most incredible special teamer ever.
And Hansen was the guy with Aziz and Henry in some first team stuff when they went 3 linebackers on first team.
Yes, yeah. Until day 7, he was the first. When they were in traditional defense, he was the guy. And then they gave Speed some of those reps, and Speed seems to be in all first team reps. So it almost on special teams. So it almost feels like Speed and Hansen might be as good as special teams players as Neiman, or they're getting as many reps, and they're also playing defense.
All right, let's do this. Let's stick at linebacker at 5 for right now, and we could revisit if we want to use that extra linebacker spot for some other position, or if we want to go to 6 linebackers.
So we're at 30. We have 23 spots left.
Well, it really doesn't feel like that many spots when you think about, I mean, they're basically there's a ton of mass to add to this team on both sides of the line.
Let's go to the DTs.
Okay, defensive tackles.
Tim Settle,
Sheldon Rankins, and Tim Settle.
They good.
Okay.
Mario Edwards. You good.
Yep.
Your guess is as good as mine on these other guys.
The Texans might set the record for the amount of juniors on their team, by the way. I mean, I feel very strongly about these 3 guys. Rankins and Settle are the first team defensive tackles every time. Settle's been stuffing dudes at the line of scrimmage all camp long, in pads, out of pads. Rankins had some nice plays the other day. Mario Edwards, they've been putting him in on like pass rush situations. Man, I was kind of hoping that if Keontae Hamilton kept this thing going, he could sneak in there, but he's got the broken ankle. He's out for months now.
So between Heinisch, Fatukasi, I would probably say Foley Fatukasi, but
that's
how hurt is he? But yeah, I would definitely go with Fatukasi.
I would put Togiai. I'd put Togiai. This was a guy that they were playing over healthy Kurt Heinisch last year, and he made some plays down the stretch. They trusted him in the playoff game.
Yeah, he was like the Derek Barnett of the DT from the year before. Yeah.
He's a much younger player than Foley Fatukasi.
Okay.
And Fatukasi was hurt all of last year. Like, even if he was playing, he was still on the injury report every week, and he's not playing right now. Like, I just don't know how I could put him on. Same with Kurt Heinisch. Like, he started late last year. He was a healthy scratch for Togiai, so I couldn't put Heinisch on here instead of Togiai.
All right, so put Togiai. And we got
That's-
4 DTs right there.
Okay.
Is that enough? Do we need to put
It's probably not enough. They spent different times last year with 11 defensive linemen total. They usually they kept that close to 10 most of the time.
They might need Danico Autry's versatility. It's just a matter of, is that realistic, or does he start out on pup? Like
I'd rather play Tafuna than him.
Yeah,
Let's circle back to the back end of defensive tackle.
All right. We got 19 spots left, so we got 34 now.
You want to hit one of these spots on offense before we hit the defensive ends?
Let's go to O-line.
Okay, man, this one's it's up for debate on a lot of these. I mean, Cam Robinson,
Safe.
let's go ahead and put Laken Tomlinson on there.
Safe.
I'm not going to put either of the centers yet, so let's go ahead and put Titus Howard on there.
Ursery.
And then let's put Ariante Ursery on there.
Okay.
Then I would say Andrews, Patterson, Andrews, whichever way you want to phrase them.
Yeah, both centers. I would say those two guys are good.
Okay. I'm going to put Andrews because I believe that's who they'd start if they had to play a game tomorrow, but Patterson's close to him.
Right.
So here's what we have. We got in theory, a starting left tackle, a starting left guard, starting right tackle, starting right guard, our center, and our backup center. That's 6 players.
Okay.
Probably 3, maybe 4 more spots to the offensive line.
Yeah, I would. I mean, is Blake Fisher the next name?
They're not getting rid of him. He's a second-round pick.
Okay.
So there's your backup right tackle. Now he can't be your backup left tackle.
That's got to be Zach Thomas.
So that would put Zach Thomas on the roster.
And Zach Thomas can play both, I think.
Yes, he can. He can play right tackle and left
Never
tackle.
start a game. So now you look in the inside and you Jalen Thomas, Ingram, Juice Scruggs is getting some second team reps now. They've seen him at center. Is Juice Scruggs making like a final push to try to make the roster?
Man, I think based on some of the things we've observed and you pay attention to, first team field goal runs out there. Ed Ingram's out there with him. So I feel like he's the first guy behind Titus if Titus isn't the right guard. If they don't have Titus, I feel like Ingram's that guy. So now you've got 9. They kept 9 out of camp last year. Cassari always talks about you take 8 to game day. Like, are they putting one? I mean, I can't just throw Drew Scruggs on here at the expense of a linebacker or a defensive tackle or a defensive end or something.
No, I would just put the 9 and then we can adjust accordingly.
Okay.
This is the initial. So now we're at 43. So we have 10 roster spots with the running backs and the ends left.
Yeah, we know at the bare minimum there's going to be 4 defensive ends.
Yeah, Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter. You're Derek Barnett.
Yes.
Taylor.
Darrell Taylor, I agree.
And then I would say Bird and Horton.
Bird and Horton.
They both play special teams. They're both really, really good special teams players. So that's 6, and that leaves 4 for the running backs, which seems rather appropriate to me.
Man, I wish one of these.
You think Bird versus Horton is a thing? Now, if it is, if you had to choose between Bird versus Horton, who are you taking? Horton's a good special teams player.
I would probably take Horton.
Okay, well then they would be praying that Bird doesn't get picked up because they really like him and he's had a good camp.
I agree.
But again, he could hang around. So
Let's leave it like this, and we could adjust Bird off. He could be the 54th man.
And we'll look at the pup guys as well, and we'll see where they fit in. Again, we're doing this exercise with you. We appreciate everyone for rolling through. We will handle that. By the way, let's shout out Bob Tack real quick. Shout out to Bob Tack for sending us to West Virginia, where this roster will continue to unfold. 409-744-8225 is the number. Bobby's been in the business for 45 years. His son Reed does his thing, whether you're on the dock, maritime, all that, they got you covered. Go to bobtack.com or 409-744-8225. You can text that number right now. Pay less, get more. Even if you need to stock some stuff up around the house, some gloves, whatever, they got you covered. Shout out to Reed and Bobby for doing what they do.
24/7 availability is not something they just say. They live it. We know these chemical plants run overnight. They need their safety equipment, free on-site local delivery with BobTech. Check out all the fantastic stuff they have at bobtech.com.
All right, so here we go with the running backs. So we've got and we got a lot of guys on PUP, and a lot of these guys it's going to be tweaked a lot. So right now you have Joe Mixon on. He's on the roster. Does he start the season out injured? Who knows? But let's just pretend that Joe Mixon's going to be good to go before we start even addressing that headache. So Joe Mixon, safe, good to go. Obviously, there you go. The only other running back that I would say is 100% safe is Woody Marks. And Woody Marks is a really good special teams player. I think Woody Marks is 100% safe. I don't think he's RB2, but I think as far as whenever the roster is laid out, I think Woody Marks is safe.
Yeah, 4th round pick. He's on the team.
He's probably the best natural receiver out of the backfield, and he plays really, really good special teams. So I think Woody Marks is safe.
Absolutely.
Now, this is where you kind of get in trouble, because I almost wonder if they maybe try to start the season with Dameon Pierce on PUP, to where maybe they can kind of like fudge or maneuver the system. Because if Nick Chubb's going to make the team, then you're going to have 2 guys guaranteed that aren't going to play special teams. And that's just kind of dangerous. Now, if Joe Mixon starts on PUP, I think you start out with Nick Chubb. But I think you have to have real discussions when you start crunching these numbers if Nick Chubb fits into what you're trying to do.
A healthy Joe Mixon makes it easier to not have Nick Chubb. An unhealthy Joe Mixon makes it easier to go down the Chubb experiment road. In this exercise, putting it together for week 1 versus the LA Rams, the hope is Joe Mixon's healthy. It's really hard to put Chubb on the roster when you talk about his special team, the limited special teams element, and just he hasn't looked that good.
I do not think that.
I don't believe they'd cut him if they had to cut him down today.
So they would cut Dameon Pierce instead?
No, they'd keep Pierce on PUP, and they'd lose out on one of these.
Okay, but if Chubb and Pierce were both available, who would you take? I think Pierce is a better player than Nick Chubb at this point.
Unseen, not knowing what Dameon Pierce is going to look like, I still would take Dameon Pierce because I know he's still got juice to his movements. So I'd put Pierce there. But I don't know if Dameon Pierce is going to be healthy. If they had to do it right now, they'd keep Nick Chubb.
Okay.
And then it's figuring out who's behind Woody Marks.
I think Woody Marks is kind of trouble for Dare Ogunbowale because he's good at special teams.
And if we were going based on how they've done at camp, that's who I'd put as the 4th running back.
Yeah, Jawar Jordan has looked the best. Now, that might be because Dameon Pierce and them aren't out there. But the other thing you got to factor in is Dameon Pierce is on PUP. So
you want to put Pierce on here like like we did Jimmy.
Yeah, and it could end up being Mixon. I think it makes it a little bit easier if either Pierce or Mixon starts out on PUP. It perhaps makes it a little bit easier for them to keep Chubb around. But if Mixon and Chubb are both good to go, then you run into a little bit of a problem if you're going to keep Mixon, Chubb, and Pierce, because none of those guys really play much special teams. I don't think Dameon Pierce. I don't know if he's going to return kicks or not, and this is kind of tough. And notice we've left Berrios off just because of some of the other stuff that has happened.
So
And then you got to think about Danico Autry on PUP. We put Barnett on the roster. Trent Brown, maybe he starts out the season on PUP. Like there's once the PUP stuff happens, then you got to figure some stuff out.
Like the thing is though, is like Trent Brown is really just a Zach Thomas replacement if Brown can go, because he can play left tackle and he can play right tackle, and he's I would assume has a deeper familiarity, even though he hasn't been out there, than a lot of the other guys. So Thomas is the guy that loses his spot to Brown. It's not like you have to kick someone from another position. You just drop Thomas, you put Brown on the roster. So this is the 53, huh?
It doesn't have to be.
So 25 offensive players, 25 defensive players, and 3 special teamers.
Correct.
Okay, let me just for
Put
exercise last year.
Put Autry on PUP below D end.
Okay.
So that we have that visual. And then put do we even need to put Heinisch? Is that even worth it?
No.
Do we need put Foley Fatukasi there just in case? Just so we have the visual.
Tackle?
Yeah, just so we have the visual of it.
Okay. Full name Folaransu Fatukasi.
Is there anyone else that we need to consider as a potential PUP guy that we have not?
I mean, those would be the. I mean, we're assuming Barnett's going to come back and just would go. Autry might need the time. Fatukasi might need the time. They might want Jimmy to take the time.
Put Trent Brown just to have that there too.
Okay.
By the way, how are those football activities with him?
I was told he was cleared for those.
What are football activities?
Maybe he's watching film. Okay, so I want to compare contrast what this roster looks like versus what they took to the start of the season last year real quick. So quarterbacks are the same, 2 quarterbacks. Running backs are the same, kind of, sort of, 4 running backs and a fullback, because British Brooks was technically a fullback last year.
Yeah.
So 4 and 1, or 5 backs, if you want to call it that. 4 running backs, 1 fullback. They took 7 wide receivers last year.
Yeah, that was the Steven Sims.
Mm-hmm. That was the specialist only Steven Sims.
And I could easily see them doing that instead of Jakob Johnson. I just think Johnson is
he gives them enough at a bunch of spots that they could use him.
He's not just a tight end, just a fullback. Like, he's also a tight end. And I also think in blocking situations, I think they would probably prefer him over maybe Schultz and Jordan. Like, I think he might be your second or first best blocking tight end, just based on what we're watching. So I think that's important to what they do. So I think Jakob Johnson has value where he's not just some traditional fullback. They've also started kind of incorporating a little bit of lead blocking, and it's actually looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. Specifically, Woody Marks looks good running behind him. I just think Jakob Johnson is valuable in the area of a lot of things they do. I also think he kind of helps when it comes to like Dalton Schultz being asked to do what he was asked to do last year, which was a little bit frustrating. So yeah.
So you think it's this 7th wide receiver spot versus Jakob?
Yes.
Okay. 3 tight ends is what they left camp with last year.
That almost feels like a given.
They left camp with 9 offensive linemen last year. Now, I was counting Broker as a lineman last year.
I feel like you could
a tackle last year, excuse me.
You could maybe get rid of Ingram when you factor in that Patterson can also play guard. But I don't know if you want to do that or not.
Your numbers get real tight, real fast. And then all of a sudden, if one of the centers gets hurt, then you don't have a backup guard.
Correct. Yeah. And that's where Scruggs, like, you kind of wonder, like, is he playing his way into consideration with what he's been doing lately? I seemed like he was in the hardcore doghouse. It does feel like he's gotten like a little small momentum, though.
It would be nice to see Juice Scruggs replace Ed Ingram for a variety of reasons, but also just from a versatility on game day conversation with Scruggs as well. Because and here's another thing to think about from a game day standpoint. In an emergency, you could put Titus at tackle, but then you just need somebody to fill his spot at guard. So Andrews could do that, Patterson could do that, Ingram could do that, or if it's Scruggs could do that. Like Fisher can't, Ursary can't.
Yeah, Scruggs having a good preseason would be in their best interest. Like right now, it's kind of the recharge period of camp, and I think it would be very, very beneficial if tomorrow when we watch practice and then when we go to West Virginia and when there's actually preseason games and Juice Scruggs probably going to get a few starts in preseason games. If he has a good showing, I think when it comes to versatility on the offensive line, that'd be in their best interest. It just hasn't really happened quite yet.
Right. So this is basically the O-line situation that they left with last year: 4 tackles, 3 guards, and 2 centers. So let's go to the defensive ends here. Now, this is where it's drastically different than last year. They left camp last year with 4 defensive ends: Anderson, Hunter, Barnett, and Hughes. And they were able to keep Bird on the practice squad. Danico Autry was obviously suspended to start last year. So this is where the roster differs the most from what they did last year. I know you said Jakob versus the 7th wide receiver spot. I think it's our guy Solomon versus Berrios. If I was waving the clipboard to make the decision, as much as I like what Solomon Bird has done, I would put Berrios at wide receiver and I would cut Solomon Bird.
Okay. I mean, it might be all a moot point once they have to make the Autry decision. I just don't like the idea of Danico Autry is cool. And like, it's cool. Like if you just want a guy that maybe like in a best case scenario is going to be able to give you like a couple of good performances like you saw last year. And I know the suspension happened, but like he was pretty banged up last year. Like clearly, like we watched it. I just think the idea of Danico Autry, they need to get over that at this point. I think they need to get over it. And whether it's Horton, whether it's Bird, get over it. And quite frankly, I think Taylor's done a really good job of being like at least looking the part of a reserve D end in camp. And we know what Derek Barnett can do.
I actually believe that the Autry situation doesn't even get to the regular season. He very much feels like a defensive Noah Brown, where we know what you can do when you're healthy, you're just never healthy, and we're moving on. I get very much Noah Brown vibes from Danico Autry. We like you, we know what you can do, but you're never healthy, we're tired of it. Go find a new team.
I mean, he's 35, so I don't even know if he
finds a new team. Yeah. Defensive tackle, they left with 4 last year, so that's about the same. They had 6 linebackers last year. So,
but again, I consider Petrie a linebacker. So they still have. We didn't think they were going to play the type of defense that they played last year. I think last year was kind of a year where maybe they discovered the style of defense that they would like to play as a result of Petrie being out there. So I still think they have 6 linebackers because I think Jalen Petrie's part of their base defense the majority of the time when he's out there. So
I would also tell you as well, I would rather have these 3 guys, Barnett, Taylor, and Horton, as options at defensive end than have Nick Niemann.
yeah, like I said, like Nick Niemann, I don't know, like unless he's just some sort of special teams ace, I don't know what.
I mean, how many special teams aces do I have to keep on this team? It would be my question if I'm D'Amico Ryan's. Like, I got Tremont Smith, I've got MJ Stewart, Miles Bryant.
But here's the thing, though, about those guys. Like, I agree with you, but like Tremont Smith is arguably their 3rd best corner. Like, and he's had a really good camp at corner, so he's arguably your 3rd best corner. MJ Stewart might be your best reserve safety if Jimmy Ward's out. Like, so we saw him with the interception yesterday. So MJ Stewart is probably going to start games at safety for you this year. Tremont Smith is maybe your 3rd best corner, no worse than your 4th. So yeah, they're special teams aces, but they're also playing defense. Like Nick Niemann he's not getting defensive reps like them.
He's not getting snaps ahead of Hansen. And here's the thing too. Hansen plays special teams. Speed can play special teams.
To'o
can play special teams. I don't know if Christian Harris can or not. I mean, he's athletic enough, but who knows if that's too much of a workload for him.
So, yeah, I think I would almost be surprised if Niemann's out. Like, there's not a lot of guys who just do special teams on this squad. Like, they have a lot of complete football players, and the idea of Niemann was good, but I think it's just kind of shaped up to where you don't need it. The other thing is Jakob Johnson, like we talk about him tight end fullback. He's also getting some special teams reps in. So, like, they're looking at him in a lot of areas. So the versatility is just kind of, I think, pushing Niemann out.
Jakob Johnson, another guy that plays special teams a variety of different ways too.
Yep.
I mean, it'd be a really good job by Jake Hansen if they brought in a guy basically to replace him, and then he came in and he took that guy's job, and it'd be a good job by him. 5 corners, they kept 5 corners last year, and 5 safeties, they kept 5 safeties last year.
Yeah, and they're the guys who would be like on the brink. Like, obviously, if they activate Jimmy Ward, then that could be the end of.
If they activate Jimmy Ward, I think that's you got to cut one of these ends.
Yeah. So then you figure out
or honestly, if you cut Jimmy Ward, you probably get rid of Miles Bryant.
Correct. Yeah.
Because Jimmy can back up Petrie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who is the 50? Like the way we've constructed it, is Berrios the 54th guy?
I would say Berrios is the 54th guy. Juice Scruggs could be like the 55th guy. And then I think the running back, the way they handle the running back position is going to be really interesting, because if it were up to me, I'm cutting Nick Chubb. Like, Nick Chubb's gone. He's not a part of my team, especially if Pierce and Mixon are there, then Nick Chubb's not a part of the team. But if Mixon is gone, then I think you can make a case for having Nick Chubb. But once Mixon's back and once Pierce is back, I don't see any use for Nick Chubb on the roster. Like, I think that I think if I were the one making the decision, Nick Chubb's not. I get rid of Nick Chubb, and then maybe I keep Berrios.
So I would be interested
or
to
Pierce,
know,
or you just move Pierce up if he's ready to go.
I would be interested to know how close. I'd be interested to know how close they view Nick Chubb to the way they viewed Cam Akers last year, in that we really only put him on the field when we have to. Because ideally, you'd want to find a way to get the guy on the field, and it felt like they were doing everything they could to keep Cam Akers off the field last year, and they ultimately just got rid of him first chance they could. I wonder if they feel that way about Chubb. It's like, well, we need him right now. We need the body. We need the veteran. And then the moment Damian Pierce, you can have him replace Chubb, you just have him replace Chubb.
Yeah, I think the ultimate dream would be that Mixon's good to go. Dameon Pierce starts out on pup. Even if he's like kind of full go, you kind of just have him on standby. And then once it's good to go, you activate Dameon Pierce and you say bye-bye to Nick Chubb. The reason, and listen, here's the thing. Nick Chubb does not play special teams. Joe Mixon does not play special teams. Dameon Pierce, he can maybe return kicks for you, but I don't know that they're going to.
One special teams role,
Yes, one special teams role. Woody Marks plays special teams. Jawar Jordan, probably not ideal special teams, but he showed a little bit of promise. It'll be interesting to see how he handles the preseason. But Nick Chubb does not do that. And we saw Nick Chubb play last year. And we're seeing what it looks like right now. But if there is no Mixon and there is no Pierce, then it makes it a little bit easier.
Yes.
So yeah, I think this is a good initial 53. Obviously, we're going to get to see them in West Virginia. We're going to get to see what exactly things look like in actual games. And some of this stuff should shape up a little bit accordingly. And then hell, some of these guys on PUP might actually start getting activated. So then it kind of changes it. But as far as SNL 53-man roster exercise 1.0, I think we've kind of talked our way into a decent look and a decent picture of it.
One thing I would say for sure about this defense is for 2 straight off seasons, D'Amico Ryans has mentioned depth. It finally feels like, as we look at this, it finally feels like he has that depth he's been asking for. And there's not a DeAndre Houston Carson ready to come in and play.
Now, go back and look from offense to defense and look at what we think is set in stone and what are the most like uncertainties. Quarterback set in stone.
Yes.
There's a lot of questions at running back. Like 2 of your top guys are on PUP, so we don't know what the hell's going on there.
I would tell you the way we've built it, 3 of the 4 spots are huge question marks.
Yeah, you almost hope it almost would be more beneficial if Pierce did start out on PUP, unless he just comes through and he's looking good.
Woody Marks is the only name I can guarantee you is going to be on the roster week 1 if he stays healthy through training camp.
100%. 100%.
I can't tell you for sure Jawar Jordan's going to be there. I can't tell you for sure Nick Chubb's going to be there. Mixon's hurt right now. Pierce is hurt right now. But I know Woody Marks is going to be on the roster if he's healthy.
And he's an excellent special teamer based on what we've seen thus far. And that's drills. That's all that. He's an excellent special teamer. Jakob Johnson, I mean, that's
a
little bit of a question, but I do think the way they use him at tight end comes into play. I think I could see a scenario where they don't keep Watson, or I don't think they're going to get rid of Hutchinson. I could see a scenario where they don't keep Watson, but I would not bet on it.
Very slim, and he got a nice contract compared to some of these other free agents they signed.
And he's good. He's good, and
he plays a lot of special teams.
Yeah, and he's good. He's good.
And I know it's very general when we say he plays a lot of special teams. It's more than just kick return, punt return. You've got to have gunners, you got to have coverage, you got to have blockers on.
He's on every single one. He's on every single one.
He does a lot of stuff.
He's on every single one.
This is about as locked up as it can get.
Yeah, QB and tight end is locked up. Offensive line, the first 6 spots are set in stone.
Feels that way to me.
I don't like the way Cody is talking about Blake Fisher. It's kind of like deja vu-ish. I'm not denying it, but your only defense is, well, he's a second round pick, which sounds very much like Kenyon Green when he was a first round pick, and it sounds very much like Juice Scruggs. I just don't like. I don't know what the attachment is to Blake Fisher, but I think and you're probably right. He is probably safe. It just kind of sucks that's the defense as well as a second round pick. There's not really anything that we've seen performance wise to justify the roster spot.
It's among the worst conversations you could have about a second round pick in their second training camp. They're very clearly a backup, and if they weren't a second round pick, they'd be off the roster. That's a terrible conversation to have about a guy.
So I would say after the first 6, there's a lot of discussion to be had on the offensive line. And hell, they could end up bringing in someone out of nowhere that could easily play his way onto this roster. So,
but again, if Trent Brown's ever healthy, then Zach Thomas has got to watch his back.
yeah,
then,
that's a big if. That's a big injury.
And then Scruggs for Ingram is probably the conversation piece there too.
All right. So on defense, the ends, there's a lot of discussion there. Like Derek Barnett, do they look at Taylor and say, well, he's the new Barnett? Do they look at Horton and Bird and say we need both of them or one of them? Danico Autry, do they still like do they still on top of the idea of him? Do they still have the vision of him being able to help? DN, there's a lot of questions. The one thing you know is at the top, you're as good as it gets in the NFL. So
yep.
D tackle,
there's only one spot up for grabs. It's Togi Eyes. So that's Togi or Heinisch or Tafuna or Fatukasi.
Well, that sounds like a damn WWE bloodline type of vibe right there. Head shrinkers. Linebacker, there's two spots we know for sure. Christian Harris, I mean, God, can we see him sometime soon? And then Speed and Hansen, they could perhaps make a tough decision when it comes to Hansen and Speed.
They paid Speed a pretty good amount of money, like nearly $5 million, right?
Yeah. Good. And he seems to be on all special teams. But I actually like the way the linebackers look. I just think I don't think Neiman fits into what they do, unless again, hell, we might watch him on special teams and he's just all over the place. But he's gonna have to. Let me put it this way: in the preseason games, we're gonna have to see Neiman looking like an absolute bona fide stud to even have this discussion.
Agreed.
Cornerback,
I'd tell you those four locks.
Those four are locks. Arnett's not going to make this team. Miles Bryant is interesting, but you got to also look at how they played defense without Petrie and Ward last year. And Miles Bryant has had as beneficial of a camp as anyone here. And he can play corner. He can play inside. When they want to run that 4-2-5, he seems to be the second guy. So Miles Bryant, I think he's on the roster. And they also had him return a punt the other day.
Yes, special teams usefulness, backup for Petrie, and that's his argument. I would tell you that these three safety spots, guaranteed, no question, they're on the team.
CJ Gardner-Johnson, Petrie, yes, and you can consider Petrie a linebacker if you so choose.
And then
they can't quit MJ Stewart, bro. Like I don't know. I don't even know.
They couldn't quit Eric Murray.
Yeah, but he got money whipped. They can't.
That's
quit
what I'm
MJ
saying. Like
Stewart.
he's the new Eric Murray. You can't quit MJ Stewart. He's the new Eric Murray.
He's a good player, man. He's a good reserve safety. They can't quit that.
I like Jalen Reed, and I just where he was selected is not the type of selection that you feel like, yeah, gotta have him on the roster. So
no, he's got to have a good showing on special teams in game situations too.
I mean, they're not afraid to cut a 6th-round pick. So
yeah. But he's doing everything he can, and I think he is a guy like some of the guys that we haven't mentioned, like British Brooks, Jalen Reed, like they want to keep them around. I think it's safe to say like they would love to keep Reed around, they would love to keep British Brooks around, but you can't keep everyone. But the beauty is once these guys get released, they end up right back on the roster, on the practice squad or whatever. So this is just step one of a long process.
The benefit of like tough cuts is everybody across the league has tough cuts all at the same time. It's not like there's layers to it. You know, there used to be multiple cut down days. Now it's chop everybody all at once. And that helps you sneak guys through the equation. And maybe you can make a tough decision on a Jalen Reed, but keep him in the building on the practice squad.
Yeah, he's done a good job. Like he's done everything that he could possibly do. Like I don't think he's put his best foot forward. There hasn't been any low points or anything like that.
Well, if Casario needs some help, the Locker Stutes consultation firm is here to help him.
I don't think he needs, but you know. All right, so that's our roster, and it will definitely be a fluid process as as things continue.
Yeah, that's a good exercise too, because it gives you a chance to really kind of, now with some of these locked in spots, you can play, okay, who can move up and down the depth chart. The defensive end competition is going to be fun to watch because in addition to figuring out who those defensive ends are, you need the tackles and the backup tackles to get work. So, having a couple of defensive ends that are going 90-0 no matter what, and they do sub out Will Anderson and Daniel Hunter and throw Horton and Taylor in there with the first team defensive tackles from time to time, so you can actually get some offensive plays off. So because Will and Daniil wreck everything.
Yeah, you gotta wonder.
They substitute so many different guys along the defensive line. I don't know how they have less than 9 or 10 guys on the defensive line.
Well, the thing, like you talked about Horton and you talk about Bird. They're not your traditional like reserve DNs. Like that's the crazy thing is like the job that they've done with the versatility is just insane, to the point where like these guys who just used to be here and the only reason they're hanging around is because they play special teams. Like that ship has kind of sailed, because those guys are on kickoff team, they're on punt team, and they're running down the field. Like Derek Barnett, you don't see like covering kicks, but like you look up, you see 92 and 50 on kickoff team, and it's like, damn, these dudes are running like linebackers. Like they can run, and that's why it's kind of different when you start talking about keeping more ends, because they're not just these guys that just come in and maybe they're going to get one, a third down snap here or there. Or if something happens to Anderson or something happens to Daniil Hunter, they're going to be out there. These guys can freaking run. Like, so that's why the whole thing is interesting. And then the Berrios, I could very easily see them going with the Berrios thing. Maybe they hope they can keep Jakob Johnson around on the practice squad. I could see that. I just don't. I don't know who would pick him up. I know Josh McDaniels is back in New England. Does he have a fullback? I know
That's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, you could maybe sneak Jakob Johnson and keep him around, but Josh McDaniels does kind of like him. Had him in Vegas and had him in New England, so maybe he would want to.
I wonder. Let me see here. They gotta have a fullback on the roster.
Oh, I just know that like that would be the one guy that you would have to look to if they weren't able to sneak him through.
Him and Nia back in New England.
Yeah.
I'm not showing a fullback listed for the Patriots.
Yeah, so maybe they move past that. They do have Drake May too, so it's a little bit different. Yesterday we said that if you wanted us to talk about something, just put it on the comment from J Merce C6718. He wants us to talk about this defense compared to the 2011 defense.
I
think the secondary is better.
Agreed.
The secondary is better. I think you have good players. You don't have as dominant of a player, obviously, as JJ. But I would say like the biggest difference, like if you want to talk about a clear strength.
Yeah, but here's the thing: 2011 JJ wasn't.
Yeah, he was young. Yeah, he was young.
He wasn't Defensive Player of the Year, JJ.
Yeah, he was young. The linebackers were definitely better in 2011.
The offensive line was so much better.
Well, he's talking about defense.
Oh, not the whole team, just the defense. Okay,
yeah, just the defense. The linebackers were better in 2011. The secondary is better here, and I think the D line is.
I'm giving it to this D line.
Yeah, so I think this defense is very close to being elite.
I mean, this defense has every opportunity in it, and rightfully should be the best defense this organization's ever had.
Nick Covey asked, talk about the struggles special teams faced last year and how they can be better this year. Well,
some of these special teams aces should help with that.
Yeah, well, Steven Sims not returning punts inside the 5-yard line.
Robert Woods not fair catching inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah, Robert Woods not being on the team should probably help. So there's that. Isaiah says, is the offensive line better or worse after the Tunsil trade?
I mean, the talent, the overall talent is lower, and that's worse. Can they perform better? Yes. Would I tell you right now that they're performing better than the O-line a year ago in training camp? Also, yes. But it's tough to say that I know they're going to be better.
I think they'll be better. And they'll be able to do what they want to do. I mean, you heard D'Amico talking about Laken Tomlinson, aka BLT, about better LT. Talking about the like the OTAs and how important that was. I think that's. I also think they're going to be getting rid of the ball. And I also think they have a lot more pieces to be able to get the ball out of CJ's hands quicker. So I think that it's kind of amazing that they did not even try to counter the offensive line last year by getting the ball to some of the backs out of the backfield. Like with Mixon, like it's a perfect counter. The tight ends, the backs, the slot guys, and I don't think they had as many weapons out of the slot last year. But it's kind of amazing that they didn't do that because it would have been the perfect counter. I think that's going to change this year. So there's that. There's the 53-man exercise. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. There's a lot of questions. I mean, this was a fun exercise to do. Like we said, we did this exercise with you. We're about 400 deep. Be sure to like the video. It is definitely popping. West Virginia, we're getting stuff ready. We'll be at the airport, I think 3 a.m. on Sunday, and we'll get our asses out there and be ready to go Monday through Thursday.
The hell are we getting there at 3 a.m. for? We doing a live show before we get in the plane?
Isn't the flight at 5?
Yeah, but why do I need to be there at 3 if the flight's at 5?
Right, I'll be up at 3 a.m., Mr. Will Actually guy. Good Lord.
Jesus, Grandpa.
Cody, not on the 53-man roster. That's for damn sure. So we'll be live tomorrow at 4. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.